So here is level 22, which was, when I was playing through this, I realized how much I like this level. This is probably one of my favorite levels in the mod, and it's a very distorted version of, like, the layout. The very beginning is a very distorted version of level 19, but you wouldn't really notice that. The only real similarity is those guys behind the barrels right at the start, but of course it's blocked off, and that area, like, you have to go through so much to get through. But when I was in like 7th grade, so I was probably like 12, I had the like graph paper that I used to draw levels on, and I didn't have that many, but because the graph paper was like, it wasn't enough to actually make a whole level, and it was like rectangular instead of square. But anyway, from the memory of the first level that I made a version of this level that was sort of like a living quarters type place that had the same sort of texture of this one, but in actuality it was way more boring. It would have been a really boring Wolfenstein level if I just like literally put it down the way it was, but I sort of used that imagination of this being, a place that was sort of big and foreboding and interesting, to make this level, which didn't really have anything to do with the original, but because it got changed so much in the process. But this is one of those that uses so much of the space and makes you go through so much just to get to the end, which is on the other side of those columns, basically. On the other side of the columns, and then on the other side of those barrels. Is double. I don't know. There are a lot of things that seem to fall into place with this level. For me, I can't really describe it. I don't think it's like brilliant, but playing it back through, I just realized there were like several things that I didn't remember about it that just kind of made me laugh, or got my attention in a way that other ones hadn't. It's kind of a pretty surreal level in a lot of ways, and it's probably one that I'd show anyone who, as like a summary of this mod and what it does, the combination of things. Like that, you have those officers dining with those flags and stuff, and then you have all those bones everywhere. And then then there's this really, really long passageway to the side you have to run through, where there are all these guards hiding to get the key. It's just very like, architecturally it doesn't make much sense at all, in a way that's maybe even more noticeable and strange, at least to me. And yeah, here you have like a bunch of these little identical rooms that eventually leads you to the first key. I can imagine this level would be frustrating for, there's so many extra lives that I almost stop picking them up after a certain point, which is embarrassing, but assuming that someone else needs them a lot more than I do, so. And one piece of treasure in that room. I can imagine this level would be really frustrating if you missed that first part and and try to go through, but I think like half the level is still blocked off, so you'd have to come back and look for it. But it's not obvious, and you wouldn't necessarily look or think that there's this really long winding passage. So it's not maybe great for navigational purposes, but I didn't really think about that most of the time. It was just trying to do something interesting. Yeah. And here you have a gradual sort of progression into this bigger living quarters area. This is one of the levels that I put in the demo for the game if you like actually sat through the demo. Although this isn't like the first one. But yeah, it's this great linear path. And this is a big confrontation. There are a bunch of like, yeah, I guess this is supposed to be a living quarters area. The name for it was Jumpy Guard Living Quarters. And you have these two like rooms that are on each side that that connect up to the like a central room. Oh, well, you'll see in a second. I'm trying to think of what to say about this level, or why I liked it so much. I think I liked it because it has it feels like it goes somewhere. It's not necessarily like the most nice looking or nice playing level, but it has an interesting progression and it doesn't like shortchange or kind of fizzle out in any place, which is something that I like. And like the Hall of Hitlers, there's one on the other side too. Just a bunch of Hitlers everywhere, screaming at you, or singing like some German folk song, some very patriotic German song. I love that texture so much. And then you have those guys that are stuck behind beds. I don't understand that either. This is why I like this level. And here you go to the back side of the previous area where there's another kind of long passageway to where the key is. You can see those guys are dining at those lovely tables that don't fit in with the rest of the textures next to all these bones and blood. And there are no guys in this room. It's kind of meant to throw you off. Depending on whether you kill those guys at the beginning, you might not kill them, so they might be hiding in this room. Yeah, but a lot of other levels I felt like I like fizzled out, or you know, I did something that they just didn't hold together completely. Oh, I was gonna say about the key. But when you, especially some of the levels that have 4 keys, it's like it breaks up the level so much that like 3 keys is already a lot, and I think this is sort of the limit of what you can do before it like really breaks things up. I mean, I tried my best to make it interesting, but yeah, you progress into the cave area. And then we're on the other side of this place at the beginning. And you can take cover behind all those stained glass. There's a lot of, like I talked about, sort of the weird symbolism in some of the object and texture placement before, but I think I was closing the door. But it's really apparent to me in this level. There are a lot of things that are just kind of obvious to me that were done intentionally that way, and that really interests me. I'm really like happy to see that now, and see that I was conscious of that, and like it seemed to come to something more substantial. You can get those guards to open that locked door, but I was too late, and they were already on the other side. But you could mess around and get them to open that door. And yeah, this is a whole nother area that's on the top half of the map, or the top like third of the map. There's a little secret there, as if you hadn't run into plenty of those already. I had to figure out something, some sort of reward. And the doors on either like end are pretty useless. They just go to rooms that pretty much look the same. I didn't have much static objects sort of to use left, so I just did the best and made these little rooms with treasure that are identical. On the other side, there's a room that's basically copy-pasted from episode 5, level 2, in the most random, out-of-context thing I can think of. But yeah. Yeah, this cave texture, though, was used a lot in the later, especially episode 5 and 6, as to sort of border almost like this outdoor kind of texture. Even though it's not outdoors, it's like the cave that there's an inner castle built around. There's episode 5, level 6 is like that, and at least I think there are a couple in episode 6. So it's definitely good. Oh, I like this Hitler who's eating a column. That's what I'm talking about, and that's not a thing that maybe you notice if you're so, like, play the game so much that you're sort of blind to it, but playing it again and I looked at that, I just laughed. Like, I don't know. There's something funny about that to me. And these are just more kind of living quarter type rooms. Almost placeholders, just a few guards here. Like, you know, visually this is not one of the more attractive levels. Not that Wolfenstein is always attractive, but that's not why I like it. So yeah, you have a few rooms. I wish that was a secret. That should be a secret. But I think there was something behind it, so I couldn't make it a secret, or maybe I just wasn't thinking. Yeah, that area is obviously where the key is. And it's one of the scariest key areas in the whole game, probably. At least to me. You'll see why in a second. Yeah, another fairly empty room. You have to remember I didn't have much to work with that left in the static object limit. So there are tons and tons of SS guys on either side, and blurring them out is really hard. And if you run forward and run back, they shoot so fast that you might get killed. And you definitely don't have enough time to run forward with a chain gun and just try to turn around and blast everybody and pick up all that health. So you have to do it very slowly while you're being mocked by this display of health on the other side that you can't reach. And these, chandelier and tables and Hitler, and I don't know, this is one of my favorite key areas, that because of the way you're sort of mocked by this this health on the other side. And there are always way more guards than you think there are going to be. It's really it's like that last level, like it's not something that's realistic in any way, but is but it's a video game, I also like that this one and the last one have these sort of bright ceiling colors, so maybe that's part of the reason why I like it. It kind of, it's weird. It lifts the game a little bit, makes it feel less drab to me. But yeah, so finally I've reached the key, and the apex of the level has been reached, and now you just have to basically go to the other side and go through one more room. just how it should be. I'm glad that this was the last area. It's always really disappointing when oh yeah, and here's some random treasure here. I don't know. I could have just put one plant at the end and that would have been fine. But who knows why I did that. There's sometimes when there's a really great area, but it's only halfway through the level, and then it loses momentum after that. And this one, like, the last part is the best, and I like that. I always like that feeling of relaxing, pulling back a little bit. Although, I mean, you still have to fight these guys, but there's no big thing that you have to go through after this. So I don't know, I'm pretty happy with this level. I was happy playing it, and it made me happy that I'm doing this for whatever reason. So take that for what you will. See you later.